Well, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to our session on Search Engine Update 2014. We've got three speakers. One hasn't quite arrived yet. I'll introduce him in his absence. And they're each going to make a presentation, and then we're going to ask them some questions. And it's just still a big subject. Every year, search engines are just an enormous subject, because those of you who are doing search engine marketing know how expensive it can be, and those of you who've been victims of things like Google algorithm changes know how that can kill your business. So we're going to hear a bit about search engines, and let me introduce our three speakers. So sitting closest to me is Andy Jones. He is Head of Search Account Management at Yahoo. Yes, there is another search engine other than Google. Next to him is Anna Comsey. Anna is Industry Head Travel at Google, so always nice to have someone talking from Google. And not yet arrived, but I believe he'll be here in about 10 minutes, is Andrew Leung, and he's Head of Online Marketing at Mr. and Mrs. Smith, the hotel chain. So hopefully he will arrive while Andy and Anna are making their presentation, so he'll be able to make his. I'm hoping the speakers might be able to talk to the head offices and give us permission to put their presentations online. So if you'd like copies of those presentations, just leave your business card with one of the young ladies at the back when you leave. If you were here for the mobile session beforehand, you've already given your business card. That'll cover you. You don't need to do it again. Okay? So without any more ado, let's welcome Andy from Yahoo.
Thank you, Paul, and thank you for that introduction, and thank you for your attendance today. I do realise that this is the lunchtime shift, so any rumbling stomachs or anything like that is totally understandable, but thank you for your attendance. I'm going to talk today about search and the mobile opportunity for search and travel, and there's no denying the fact that mobile has arrived within the search business, and smartphones and tablets represent a huge source of online traffic. After years of false dawns, 2013 established itself as the year of mobile, with over 50% of the UK population owning a smartphone. And this growth has continued into 2014. Over the next couple of years, we will see penetration of smartphones and tablets in particular continue to rise as competition amongst the handset providers drives prices down and faster connection speeds open up more ways to consume even more data. Research has shown that travel content across a number of subcategories is accessed frequently on mobile devices, with 25% of people using a mobile device to access travel information. Where mobile devices have often underperformed for travel brands is driving conversions for big value purchases, but more on how we can change that very shortly. In terms of what we're seeing on the Yahoo Bing network, travel is in rude health, with paid clicks up 35% year on year. And it's clear that smartphones and tablets are driving that growth. Clicks from smartphones have grown 125% year on year, with tablets seeing slightly less at 77%. The demand for travel content on mobile devices is clear. But the challenge is turning that interest into purchases or retaining potential customers. So what are the key blockers to us driving conversions across travel in the mobile space? Well, according to the data we have, screen sizes are still the key blocker for users in the UK, to carrying out more of the same travel tasks as you would see on desktop or laptop. As we've seen recently, however, with the launch of Apple's iPhone 6, not to mention Samsung's array of smartphones, screen sizes appear to be inching ever bigger. With this in mind, where you as travel brands can have far more impact is in developing an exceptional user experience on your mobile sites, as well as driving app downloads that will enable you to convert more traffic. So how does our travel traffic break out across the Yahoo Bing network? Well, travel aggregators like Booking and Expedia are still a dominant player. On the Yahoo Bing network, we see over half our paid clicks in travel coming from this group. This represents an opportunity for the direct online travel advertisers. While we recognize the importance in terms of choice and value that aggregators offer, we also recognize the need for direct providers to build a relationship with the user. And mobile apps should help them do this. Direct online travel advertisers can expect to see double-digit growth in European bookings in the next couple of years, which is in stark contrast to overall travel bookings, which are only forecast to grow by up to 4%. Clearly, brands need to think about any and all marketing channels, especially online, that can help build this relationship and the retention of users. And while search is a proven channel that drives performance, there are other channels that can complement it further. And this is where native advertising can help. Native advertising is still in its infancy in terms of total ad spend, but the reach available to travel brands, as well as the ability to target desktops, tablets, and smartphones, makes it a huge source of valuable traffic. To us search marketeers, how we buy native advertising will be familiar. Native, like search, is bought on a biddable marketplace on a cost-per-click basis. Native advertising solutions help accelerate engagement by blending online content and advertising in a natural way that enriches the user's experience and delivers a better return for brands. Our solutions at Yahoo let you target consumers with ads that fit smoothly into the content and context of what they're viewing. They appear naturally within the user's experiences and allow you to connect with millions of prospective customers across Yahoo and serve seamlessly across devices. Globally, native ad spend is set to increase by over 60% to $5 billion per year by 2017, and this should come as no surprise to performance-focused advertisers, who can appreciate that when you present an engaging ad format or piece of content to the right user in the right context, results will follow. Brands in the travel vertical, perhaps more so than any other category, have the potential to serve up rich images and content that can inspire the user across all devices. Currently, native ads will run across the Yahoo homepage, news, and other key properties. But it's just not this incremental traffic that existing search clients can drive. Running native campaigns in tandem with mobile search campaigns can result in increased brand favorability. Most importantly, purchase intent. And crucially, the demographic that saw the most significant increase across all metrics were the 16 to 34-year-olds. You would expect this as that demographic over-indexes in terms of use with smartphones and tablets. Native advertising will continue to develop at pace, and soon travel brands on Yahoo will have the ability to promote their apps to millions of users through this format with links to both the Apple Store and Google Play. Apps clearly play a fundamental part in people's day-to-day lives. And for the travel category, there's been huge year-on-year growth in app usage compared to web browser usage. The value of customers who have downloaded a brand's app is clear. And once that initial booking has been taken, the chances of repeat business are highly likely on both smartphones and tablets. In addition to the opportunity to drive app downloads, Yahoo native ads have now extended to our award-winning Yahoo weather app. And I think everyone in this room can appreciate the unnecessarily high amount of time we spend talking about weather. Setting aside the extra reach this ad placement will bring, it also provides a natural and rich environment for travel clients to appear in, more so than any other category. So we have high hopes and expectations for performance across this weather app. The revamped Yahoo travel page has introduced a cleaner, more modern tiled approach to travel, which is not only filled with original content, but provides a further placement where travel brands can promote themselves through native ad format. And again, the benefits on search campaigns can be seen. A recent internal study showed that one travel client saw a 50% uplift in branded searches from users who had been exposed to these ad formats on the travel page. So in summary, how do we in travel make the most of mobile to drive those important conversions? We need to focus on the blockers to conversion on mobile and make sure the path to conversion is clear post-clicks. Mobile-specific design sites are absolutely essential. Enhance your paid search and SEO activity by engaging in other digital activities, like native, that drive more searches, more clicks, and more conversions. When using native, make sure the content is inspiring and users can engage with rich visuals. Travel advertisers are well placed to deliver this experience. And finally, where possible, push app downloads as these create brand loyalty with the users and more conversions, both in the short term and the long term. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Andy. I'll be looking forward to chatting to you about native search a little bit later. And lovely to welcome Andrew from Mr. and Mrs. Smith here. So you're busy building another hotel, I suppose, before you arrived. Anyway, for now, ladies and gentlemen, let's welcome Anna from Google.
Good afternoon. Hands up, how many people here have seen the film Iron Man? Or a film featuring Iron Man? It's about half of you, so that's good news. So if you've seen Iron Man, then you've seen Jarvis.
Jarvis, you there?
At your service, sir.
Gauge heads-up display.
Check.
Four-door preferences from home interface.
Will do, sir.
Jarvis is Tony Stark's incredibly knowledgeable, conversational, and ever-available virtual personal assistant. He answers Tony's questions, he anticipates his needs, he suggests relevant solutions, and he enables Tony to take action on those solutions. So, for example, Tony can save the world or fix a jet engine in mid-flight, you know, the normal everyday stuff we all have to manage. So what has this got to do with what I'm talking about today? It's a really cool but fictional vision of what sort of sci-fi enthusiasts see as what we might expect in the future. Well, this is Larry Page's vision of the future of search. In his vision, search would be able to answer your questions, anticipate your needs, and offer relevant solutions, and enable you to take actions on those. Imagine the possibilities when you can have a conversation with Google to get information. So let me imagine a scenario where I want to go on holiday. I might ask Google, are there direct flights from here to southern Spain? And Google would respond,
yes, EasyJet have 3 non-stop daily flights from London Gatwick to Malaga. Would you like help planning a trip to southern Spain?
Well, I'm thinking about a romantic getaway for me and my husband to celebrate our first wedding anniversary. What are the prices like if we were to go for 5 days over a weekend?
Yes, EasyJet have 3 non-stop daily flights from London Gatwick to Malaga. Would you like help planning a trip to southern Spain?
I think it was the next. Try again. It's great when technology works. One more time.
The most affordable dates of travel seem to be Wednesday to Monday or Thursday to Tuesday. Tickets are about £150. Keep in mind that you have 422,000 air miles with British Airways, who also fly to Malaga, that you could potentially use as well.
That's right. Let's see if there are any dates when I can use air miles and fly one or both flights on business class.
You will need 60,000 miles for 2 round-trip tickets in business class. Your current miles would cover this. The optimal travel dates to use miles would be Wednesday, November 13th through Monday the 18th. I've also pulled a list of Malaga hotels rated most romantic by your trusted sources and with availability for those dates of travel. Shall I make any reservations for you?
So you understand how these conversations would go, barring some sort of technical difficulty. Just imagine how much easier it could be to plan trips with this kind of functionality, or to buy a gift for a coworker, or to look up some new car insurance, or secure some Beyoncé tickets. The use cases go on and on. So the part of you that's a Google user is probably thinking, wow, this is brilliant. I can't wait for this future. I think how much easier my life's going to be with this kind of functionality. And then the cynic in you is thinking, this isn't possible. This is just someone's, dream. Like, this is just sci-fi. Come on, really? And then the business person in you is probably thinking, how on earth am I going to adapt my business strategies for this kind of future? So today what I'm going to do is talk you through some examples of what we are doing at Google today to better answer your questions, answer users' questions, anticipate their needs and suggest solutions, and enable them to take action. We've come a long way from the first Google search screen in 1998, where we had 10 blue search links on the screen. Today's results are much richer, both in terms of format and in terms of content. As you can see from the example here, when I search for images of New York City, I'm no longer expecting to see a list of 10 blue links. What I'm expecting to see is what I'm served, which is a really rich list of actual images, the images I'm searching for. That is just one example of how search has changed to better answer the user's question. Now, planning trips and booking travel is one of the most popular activities to do on the web. But to deliver relevant results to users, we need to reimagine what search looks like for travel. Users' queries are becoming more complicated, and the answers to those queries are even more complicated still. So as a result, Google's developed Flight Search and Hotel Finder, which is on the next slide, with the explicit aim of providing better travel-related suggestions for users, and to help improve the intent to action, i.e. to move customers through that journey as seamlessly as possible. So you can see Flight Search up on the screen here, and this next slide is Hotel Finder. With these products, we showcase your products and important information, like price and availability, that we get from data feeds from our partners. And this means that we are able to surface information that's robust and useful for users, and send our partners leads that are way more qualified. So I've spoken through some of the ways in which we're better at answering users' questions, but what about anticipating their needs? Well, one of the products that I think does this the best is Google Now. So who in the room is familiar with Google Now, knows what Google Now is? Okay, so a sprinkling of hands there. For those of you that don't, Google Now is a feature of the Google app. If you haven't already got the Google app downloaded, now's a good time to do it. Download it and have a play with Google Now. What Google Now is a way of surfacing information that's contextually relevant to you as a user. So what it does is it takes information from your calendar, from your emails, from your G+ circles, and also from your current location through your GPS device. And it pairs that with external data feeds like what the weather's doing in your location or how heavy is the traffic in your location. And with all of those different signals, it surfaces the information that it thinks is most useful for you in that instant. Here's a specific example of Google Now and how it relates and how it's surfacing information that's relevant to the travel sector.
With Google Now, you have just the right information at just the right time, before you even ask. And now, with the boarding pass card, traveling has never been so easy. Check in online as usual, and Google Now will automatically retrieve your digital boarding pass, so it's ready before you fly, with terminal information, gate number, and seat. You don't have to do a thing. Just arrive at the airport and you're ready. Simply present your QR code at the gate. That's it. No more hassle, no more stress. And when you reach your destination, Google Now shows you everything from directions to your hotel to local restaurants and more, helping you to be a local wherever you go. Traveling made easy with Google Now.
So if I think through some of the use cases that are available today with Google Now, imagine that I'm sitting at work in a meeting, and Google Now will ping me to let me know when I need to leave to catch my flight on time, my flight to Malaga. And it will also take into account what the traffic on the roads is doing. So if I need to leave slightly earlier to get my flight on time, it will let me know when I need to leave and what route to take to get to the airport on time. When I arrive in Spain, it recognizes I'm in a different country from the one in which I normally live, so it'll surface useful information like currency exchange rates or translation services of basic phrases like good morning. It'll also tell me what the weather is both home and in Spain, and what the time is both at home and in Spain, so I can ring my sister and boast about the great sunshine I'm having. So as a partner, you can actually make sure that your content is being surfaced to users in this Google Now format by making sure that your confirmation emails are marked up with the schema.org email markup. It's available on the developer's site. So we've spoken about answering and anticipating users' needs. Now we're going to move on to enabling them to take action. And this can take lots of forms. It can be something very basic, like this example of a hotelier who has featured in their search ads both a call extension and also a location extension. So you can see the call extension on the left and the location extension on the right, because that advertiser realizes that if a user is searching on their mobile phone, the chances are they either want to call the hotel or get directions to find it. So it's surfacing relevant information. Enabling users to take action can take a slightly more deeper format. So for example, here we've got a hotel price ad that is deep linking into a partner's booking engine, thereby ensuring an absolutely seamless process for the user. Once they've decided what they want to book, they're only a few clicks away from booking it. So I've given you some examples of how Google's products are helping better answer users' questions, anticipate their needs, and then enable them to take action. So hopefully, I've answered some of the cynics in the room. But I would like to return to the other question I had. How can you as a business make sure that you're adapting your digital strategies to take advantage of this future? Now, it's really exciting to talk about some of the new technologies that are becoming available, like Google Glass and other wearables. But there's actually, as Andrew mentioned, another device which is already mainstream that we all have in our pockets today, that we all need to make sure that we are developing our businesses to make the most out of, and that's obviously the smartphone. Already, we see 1 in 3 travel queries are coming in on mobile devices, 1 in 3. And by 2015, we predict that mobile queries will overtake desktop queries in travel. So my number one piece of advice is get good at mobile. What you need to do is you need to figure out what are the primary use cases for your customers and your business on the mobile phone, and then make it as easy as possible for them to accomplish those use cases through your sites and your apps. Mobile is its own experience. It's a much smaller screen. It's a touch screen. It's got these extra functionalities that we discussed, like a camera, like GPS, like calls. The best companies are taking advantage of these unique aspects of mobile to develop an experience that is best suited to the customer. So, for example, I don't know how many of you are familiar with the Uber app. One of the best things about the Uber app that I think is that when you go to enter in your bank details, rather than have to manually enter them all in, you can just take a picture of your bank card and the app will automatically fill in all your bank details for you. So that's a great example of a company that's thinking through, okay, how can I make this mobile experience the best it possibly can be? Let's go back to this example. So here is a very simple and incredibly relevant way to make mobile work for a customer. But the challenge I often hear with mobile advertising is that mobile doesn't convert as well as desktop. So business owners aren't inclined to invest in mobile when the CPA is so much worse than desktop. Who here in the room experiences that problem? A few of you. So the response to this is to say, we all know that users are searching on mobile, and when a user searches, they search with an intention, with intent. They're looking for an answer to a problem. At the very least, they're establishing a shortlist. At the most, they're actually making their decision and then going back to convert on a desktop. So if you aren't present on mobile, then you aren't present in that user's shortlist, in that contender list for their actual conversion. It's all very well thinking through the theory, but the question is, does it actually translate through to the data? So something that we've introduced at Google is a new column in AdWords called Estimated Cross-Device Conversions. You can see some of these columns highlighted in red. And what this column does is it actually takes the user paths where a user has clicked on an ad on mobile and then gone back to desktop and clicked on either an organic link or gone direct to the site and then made a conversion. So no conversions happened on mobile, but the user has gone directly back to your site and converted on desktop after having clicked on a mobile ad. And what that shows is that there are conversions that are being driven by exactly this path I just identified. Users researching on their mobile, having reached a decision, they then go back and book on desktop. And what we see if we look at this estimated cross-device conversion across all travel companies is that it leads to an additional 30% of mobile conversions through this exact type of path. And that's really interesting, especially when you bear in mind that this is still a last click attribution methodology. So it doesn't include all those conversions where a user clicks on a mobile ad and then goes back and clicks on a desktop ad and then converts. Those examples are excluded from this methodology. So this column actually underestimates the value of your mobile conversions. Another challenge that we face as this world becomes more and more complex is that users are expecting more and more simplicity. So as screens get smaller and as there are more and more touch screens with fat fingers, users want lots of white space and a really clean and simple experience. My favorite example of a company that has got this second thing right, simplifying their experience, is Airbnb. So this is Airbnb's desktop site. It looks remarkably like a tablet site, doesn't it? And it's an incredibly simple experience, very clean, big imagery, very few words, and very focused on exactly what the user wants to achieve. Now, I've referenced that the user is expecting a more and more simple front end. But that doesn't mean that the back end is getting any less complex. In fact, exactly the opposite. It's getting more and more complex. And so my third suggestion relates to the notion of this more and more complex back end. And that relates to data feeds. So data feeds are used to send organized sets of data, like pricing and availability, to distribution partners like Google. And all of the vertical search products that I mentioned earlier utilize data feeds to distribute the information. My prediction is that in a few years, search will move away from being based on keywords to being actually based on data feeds, which are going to be fundamentally a better way of delivering the information to the user, both the information that you have and based on the query that they are looking for. So my third suggestion is to invest in your data feeds. Make sure they are as clear as can be and as structured as they can be, and make sure that you've got enough investment and focus on this area because it's going to be vitally important in the future. So as you prepare for the year ahead, please add this checklist to your plans. Because I promise you, these efforts today will not only help you today, but they will help you get ready for the future. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Anna. Some fascinating stuff there. And now I'm delighted to welcome someone who's not actually a search engine person, but very concerned with online marketing. Let's welcome Andrew Leung from Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Okay, thank you. I do apologize for my voice. I don't normally sound like this, but I have a really bad cold. I told Paul I might not actually be able to come, so I'm glad that I made it. Just before I start, can we have a show of hands of how many of you are hoteliers? Quite a lot of them. OTAs and airlines maybe, and other sort of destination planning and travel company. Okay, we really have a good mix here. So thank you, Andrew and Anna, for the presentation. And I think, from my perspective, like Paul said, I'm not from a search engine, and I'm sure some of our problems that Mr. and Mrs. Smith face would be very resonant to you, all of you, because you're probably at the receiving end of all their changes. So for those of you who don't really know who Mr. and Mrs. Smith are, we basically started as a publisher, a travel guide since 2003. We published this very nice coffee table travel guides recommending in-depth knowledge for couple travel, romantic travel, and that's how we started. But now we don't publish those books anymore, but we have a fantastic website full of content. And content is actually really important for us because that's kind of what sets us apart, time and time again, from consumer survey, from focus group that we run, and from talking to our peers in the industry. To date, we have about 950 or close to 1,000 hotels all over the world, and we are running a very strong membership database. And if people do book with us, they get fantastic benefits. But again, content is really important for us, and I'm going to come back to that a little bit later on. Probably a bit of a trivial stats here, especially seeing that we all attended this session. We all know that search is really important, but a recent study, according to the guys at Google, 57% of leisure travelers and 64% of business travelers actually start the planning process with search, in one way or another. I'm not sure if these stats actually include products like Hotel Finder or Maps. If they do, presumably figures would be even higher. But it's important to remember that although search is really important for our industry, is only part of the whole picture. And the guys quite rightly talked about mobile and other devices. The other sombering thought for us is really 80%, 85%. Within accommodation, the figures vary within airlines and other travel providers. Go into their research. They're planning the holidays, undecided on a brand. So as a brand, it's really difficult for us to attract that customers because they are so flippant and they're undecided. And that is why being discovered is really important. And through search is one way of getting discovered. And not only 85% of people in accommodation go in planning undecided, there are actually more and more brand disloyal for many reasons. I think some figure like 65% of people would switch for any reasons, and they would switch because they think there are better perks. So essentially, it's difficult to retain. Not only it is difficult to attract the customers, it's also very difficult to retain. And certainly, changes on the search engine side isn't making this easy for us. And that is why at Mr. and Mrs. Smith, content is actually really important. When we talk about search engine optimization, we don't actually talk about search engine optimization. We think about the customers. We have adopted what we call a customer journey-centric approach, in that everything is about the customers. We think like a customers, and being present on search engine is important. I'm not arguing that, and we do some tactical SEO too, but that's not the core of our business. The core of our business is really content. And of course, like I emphasized so many times already, search is just part of a marketing mix. And I'm sure all of you are aware that search is important, but then there are so many other things that we can do too as marketers. At Mr. and Mrs. Smith, we have a whole array of search, meta search, display, and then we run very successful direct mailing campaigns, and we run very successful e-news campaigns too. So all that is well and good, right? So, but when it comes down to it, it really comes down to content, right? Because you can do all you can, your competitors do the same, and how do people then actually differentiate who you are against XYZ competitor? Sorry, I correct myself. The figures that I was quoting earlier is 65% people actually don't see a differentiation when they go into travel planning, and meaning that they don't actually know what's the difference between brand X and brand Y. And that's very important for us, because Mr. and Mrs. Smith is all about the brand. It's all about the experience. It's all about our unique insight that we provide, that you can't get anywhere else. And that is why brand is really important for us. We have, recently updated that the website is now fully mobile responsive, but then that doesn't take away the importance of content, as the next slide will show. Although we have a pretty front end with heavy imagery and all of that, easy navigation and so on, we really don't walk away without content. Earlier I mentioned that search engine helps you get discovered, but then if you are being discovered and then suddenly customer arrive on your site and you have no content that doesn't differentiate you from other people, then chances are they're going to walk away. And then it again comes the dilemma of you're competing against price, you rate parity and so on. And this is not what Mr. and Mrs. Smith is about. Mr. and Mrs. Smith really offers the unique insight, insider knowledge to destination, hotels that we approved, and so forth and so on. And that is why having a heritage from publishing books and travel guides really help us in this ever-changing search landscape. To be honest, I'm in a very luxurious position in that, I have a very strong editorial team in-house. I have, I think, 8 or 10 people distributed across all the regional offices. And they only do one thing. They produce content. They don't do anything else. Okay, they help us with social media, but content is really in our blood. And why am I stressing this so much is because actually, I'm tooting my own horns, but we're doing really well in terms of navigating the changes that has been brought about by the search engine side, because we don't think about search engine optimization. We years ago we stopped thinking about keyword-based or attribute-based tactical SEO optimization, because we think about the customers and we think about what they want, and insider knowledge, travel guides, in-depth detailed descriptions are what people are looking for. So all of that content can be boiled down to quite a few themes. I apologize if you guys were in the Berlin conference that I was presenting. It was the same slide, but different message. So of course, like I said, brand is really important for us, but like any other travel brand, destination, location information, hotel, are all very important. And then of course we want to be associated with key attributes like boutique, romantic, luxury. And the reality is, Booking.com, sorry if Booking.com is here, is also using boutique. And arguably, they have nothing to do with boutique, not in the Mr. and Mrs. Smith sense. So it is increasingly challenging, from an optimization perspective, from a perspective of getting discovered. So we've introduced more recently, searches or content around, travel intent, travel occasions, events. These are the attempts that we try to diversify our content and our keywords, if you will, to adapt to the changing landscape from a competitive perspective and also from a search engine modification perspective too. But, all that said, the reality is, this is a search engine page that I captured yesterday. And it's on the key term boutique hotels London, which Mr. and Mrs. Smith is supposed to be the authority, and we are. But although we rank organically the first after all the ads, and we actually rank first as well for this ad, but changes on Google such as this, increased emphasis on map results has effectively pushed us down. If I had a smaller screen, Mr. and Mrs. Smith wouldn't even be above the fold, and we are the authority for boutique hotels London. So this is challenging, right? And I think this is the reality everybody faces. Of course, we try to get in on the map thing too. We work with Google Hotel Price Ads, and I talked about it briefly. But the reality is we are paying for more advertising space, and there is only so much we can do around content. And that is why, as a company, we're not relying on search as a sole channel to bring in traffic. And this is obvious, right? Because you don't want to attract your traffic, through just search. And when the search engine suddenly decided that, okay, portal sites are complete rubbish, and then your ranking and your visibility goes out of the window. So this is not what we do, and that is why I keep coming back to the point of, we think like a customer. We try to talk to customer in various channels, and we think about it in a customer user journey perspective. And discovering, of course, we agree with Google, mapping result for travel is really relevant and really important, and that's why we are there. I think it's kind of a numbers game. So many products, brilliant products that Google has. It's a matter of subscribing to those, and of course, tactically we can't subscribe to everything because we don't have an endless amount of advertising budget. But subscribe to the things that is actually relevant for your business. And for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, content, mapping, and rich user experience is what we're striving for. And this brings me back to the point of content. At the end of September, at the APTA Travel Convention, our founder and CTO Tamara launched a new project, which is internally we call it a content tagging or hotel tagging project. And it is really exciting in that we are giving new meanings to our existing content. And with sometimes that entails rewriting our content, but then at this stage of this project is about tagging our content, tagging our hotels, tagging our destination with rich meaning keywords, such as whether this hotel is cozy or not. It's not just about attribute. It's really about the feeling, about the in-depth understanding of the hotel, of the destinations that Mr. and Mrs. Smith is bringing to the table. And that we believe would differentiate us against our competitors, and how that actually filters through to our search engine, we are yet to find out. But as semantic as meaning becomes more and more important, is really meaningless to fixate ourselves on keywords, but produce content. So that project really is really exciting. So a combination of semantic keywords that are rich in meanings could actually generate a list of results. How we present it at the front end is still under construction, but we can see that this will help our travel team massively when someone call up, I don't know where to go, but I just want to go to somewhere very romantic, very seductive. This is the rich meaning that we'll be able to bring into the table. to conclude my presentation, and I'm sure we have a lot to discuss, during the Q&A because, so much has been said. But really, don't think about SEO from a keyword and tactical SEO perspective. Of course, those are really important. Those are the fundamentals. Everybody should be doing them. But really think about what your customers want and how you want your customers to discover you as a brand and then transact with you. As you can see, the customer becoming disloyal. So it's about differentiating yourselves. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Andrew, for hanging on in there with your cough and cold. I'm very pleased you could be here. So the purpose of discussion, I'm going to call Andy from Yahoo Andy and Andrew from Mr. and Mrs. Smith Andrew, so we know who we're talking about. Who'd like to, and Anna will call you Anna. Who'd like to ask the first question? Okay, shall I kick off? Anna, one thing that Andrew just touched on, but we may not have noticed, was the whole subject